Okay, it's happening. We got to get ready for what's happening in Bitcoin right now because I've been talking about this for a while and I should probably stop eating ice cream since I just started recording. But basically, guys, I've been talking about this for a while. It's happening, a great opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin at an attractive price and at a not just responsible, but a very nice area within the overall structure. Now, I'm going to be going over a lot of things. I'm going to be going over super briefly some articles, my opinions on them, what's going on in the macro, because the macro environment right now is super, super important that we all understand what's going on and how that influences Bitcoin. Not just that, I want to talk about at least, another market where there's a good opportunity that's popping off as well. Now, I'm not going to get too much into it because it doesn't have to do with Bitcoin, but I do trade other markets. I don't just trade Bitcoin. I do a lot of trading off of this channel, but I don't go over any of that because most of my passion is really just in Bitcoin. But I am always taking advantage of other opportunities as well. So if you guys are new, I'm gonna go over the Bitcoin chart, my opinions on it. So far, my overall primary expectations are flourishing. It is holding strong. So I'm gonna share my opinion on that. But before we do, I'm gonna go over a few things and then those market and then the actual Bitcoin price. But guys, you got to remember that we have a FOMC meeting July 29, July 30, right? So it's coming up real soon, but we still have a bit of time left. And I said this in so many other videos. Besides the jobs report that came out not that long ago, yes, that's a big indicator. But another massive indicator is going to be the CPI report. Now, if you guys, I've seen a previous video where I couldn't find the article, but I pretty much gave a summary of it. Of if CPI comes in lower than expected, and I forgot what I said in that video. I forgot the number, but there's a certain specific percentage point where if it comes below that, the expectations for a rate cut in the next meeting will be very, very high. But I believe that it's fading away. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, at least at the moment. I'm going to go over a few reasons why as well. But I just want to keep a realistic view, not just on CPI, but the FOMC coming up soon. And that way we're not at least hoping for unrealistic things, but instead hoping for the best, but understanding what is most probable. Now, there is also some word, and I'm gonna share my opinion. But a lot of articles I read basically are talking about how yes, this tax bill is very very beneficial for a lot, but it's also, and it's gonna go into something else I'm gonna say as well, and I'm gonna show you guys in a moment. But this tax bill is also very dangerous potentially for the U.S. debt. The amount of debt in the U.S. government, it's not the most beneficial for that, but it does. It's the pros and cons don't really outweigh each other, but they are very very. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons, and for I think personally, and I haven't really looked into it enough, but as of right now, I think that there's a lot of people really um excited for this. There's a lot of good stuff on there, but at the end of the day, too, the negatives. Uh, Honestly, if I think it's great actually because it can raise um, potentially inflation if eventually when rates are cut and then the U.S. tries to print more money because the debt is getting worse. That can be very 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 good for like asset inflation and at least risk on assets during the time being of lower rates before eventually in the future they go up again. But this could be setting up for a really, really good pump on risk on assets. But we'll see how that evolves. I still want to do more research on it. And then tariffs, if you guys were paying attention earlier today, it is Monday at the moment. Um, yeah, a lot of um, tariffs were being pushed out towards Japan and South Korea, and then we started seeing some sell offs as well. But this isn't that bad. At least like the bigger players on where these tariffs truly affect a lot of things, those ones are being pushed back, and there's probably some background negotiation going on. If I had to take a guess, But we'll see how that evolves either way. Um, I do believe there's something really good strategy going on in the background, and it's just setting up for bigger. But until then, until the good stuff comes around, we're gonna get a really good opportunity soon enough. Also, before I show that market, quick thing: the if you guys are waiting for the Dead Trees first song drop, I'm working on it. I still am. It's very very difficult, but I decided I'm gonna focus more on expressing my lyrical creativeness rather than focusing too much on the beats. So I'm gonna I already got the lyrics down. I just want to get the recording done, and then I'm gonna use a super simple beat because I realized that the creativeness behind the lyrics is much more important than the beats, at least for like a first song, in my opinion. Also, let me know what you guys think. I can't move this all the way because I have a lot of important um files over here, but I finally got a new wallpaper. I'm very excited about it. I think it looks super cool. A whole different. It makes the my desk feel a whole lot different. It's really cool. But either way, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. It's actually one of Mac's wallpapers in the settings. But either way, yeah. Let's get into what I really want to talk about. So, and I'm gonna get this out of the way super quick. It doesn't really have to do a whole lot with Bitcoin. There's a lot of other opportunities in other currencies, but also in some other assets, including commodities as well. This is setting up for something very, very interesting. But what I want to show you guys is actually I'm not going to go over anything because again I want to focus on Bitcoin. But guys, don't focus too much on a small number of assets in one specific market. Like the more you learn about other markets, the more opportunities there are when maybe there's a little bit of less clear opportunities in one market. You may find something very, very interesting in other ones, but it takes a lot of macro understanding to really benefit from this, at least at the moment. But the structures are, especially in the forex market, and especially when specific currency pairs are very how do you say, highly influenced or like on the bigger picture headlines with what's focused right now. There's a lot of really good opportunities, and a lot of like textbook structures tend to, in my opinion, present themselves very very well in certain forex pairs. And I'm just saying, guys, check out other markets, learn about other markets. You may be surprised on what opportunities you can find. But let's go ahead and finally talk about Bitcoin. So in previous videos, I gave you guys a few estimates, and now I wanted to do something to further strengthen a specific um, supportive estimate I have here. But basically, I kept saying, and I didn't want to rule out potential short-term optimism, even though I said it's very, very unlikely. I think yesterday's video we were up here, and I kept saying like even though we're breaking over the 0.618 extension, or this is a retracement which is acting as resistance at 109,385. I kept saying even though the price is breaking over that 0.618 retracement, it can't hold above it. There's some very, very clear early signs, and the RSI on the hourly chart was also showing early signs of potential bullish volume, at least in the short term weakening. And that's exactly what happened. Like we failed to hold above the 0.618 resistance within this retracement, and instead we started coming down. And on top of that, I'm like, okay, I don't want to rule out the possibility of us going higher, like potential short-term long trade opportunities. But and then I said this isn't very very likely to hold, but I still want to go over it regardless. And that's this support area. It failed, and it was expected. I said I wouldn't be surprised if it fails because it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, being that the swing high right here, super weak volume, not being able to hold above a simple retracement for acting as resistance. It's just not likely. And instead, I've shown this in the last like 2 or 3 videos, what I am primarily looking for is fluctuative move down as macro environment, macro news articles, and so on show potential early signs of fear before the optimism and risk on assets become much more attractive. So what I really want to express, and I'm going to go over this again, and if you guys are new, I'm going to go over a 2024 example, but this is what I want to get this part out the way. So I want to not just test previous swing low as support. I want to test a proper resistance that does not break previous resistances. So it's as simple as this, where the price comes down, tries to find support within a very simple extension. This extension is just factoring in this move right here. It's very significant because this swing high couldn't break over this swing high. And of course, this is an early signs, and it's a very not super clear, but it is a head and shoulders pattern indicating short-term bearish momentum. And how this can unfold is quite simple. As the price comes down, eventually it has to balance itself out. It has to have fluctuations, and these fluctuations can, excuse me, it can extend to specific levels. So as of right now, this is the area I'm looking at for potential support, but support would just be short-term fluctuation where we come up. This is an estimate. As long as the price holds somewhere around 105,400, then this will be an area I'm looking at 108,000 roughly as resistance, where we can start seeing volume shrink and start to reverse. And at that point, it would just allow the price to, and there will be more fluctuations, but I'm not trying to fill the chart with a bunch of estimates at the moment until these get filled, but then eventually down, and we'll have one more deep value retracement below 100K. Potentially, it can even enter into the 80s, but we can easily hit 95K, and that'll be a really, really good opportunity. And I said this before, if this were to happen, any moment, if the price comes down into this retracement one more time, because we hit it before very briefly, but we couldn't hit that 0.5 retracement around 95K. So what that means is that we have an opportunity to test this area again and extend within the area once again. But any price below 100K, I believe it's not going to be very, very sustainable, and we'll see very quick recovery out of it. So I'm not trying to time a bottom within this area. I would just like to continue to accumulate more BitU exposure to add onto the swing trade I've been talking about in the last few videos. I want to add more. I want to add more here, another 5K. I want to add another 5K increments at a time until I invest at least another 25K into that 45K position currently. So I want to add every fib support area and finish accumulating within this area down here. Now, the reason I'm paying very, very close attention to this is because two reasons. And, again, one of the reasons is macroeconomic environment is showing that, there's a little bit more fear that has to present itself before the price can really lead itself higher, backed by the bulls, right? So we just got to see another stage of fear before we can continue the bull run even higher. This will allow Bitcoin to go much, much higher, but this moment of fear will allow, the S&P as an example to retrace, let the RSI rest to the bottom side, let that 120 moving average get tested once again, and it will create a nice simple retracement where we can really, really start paying attention to what's going on. So this is absolutely fine, and due to this being a macro reason for the price to come down, it can affect Bitcoin. As you can see, it's affecting it as we speak. I wouldn't be surprised if soon enough we come down into this area, providing not just a chance to accumulate more swing, but it will be a chance to accumulate potential short-term long positions, with TP being a simple retracement depending how far down it goes into this area. Right now, like 97 to 98K will be a good TP. SL will be simply, the extension down there. And before I give you guys if it breaks the extension support, this will be the SL. But so yeah, it's super simple, like long trade opportunity, TP, because at that point we can start seeing volume reverse and we can continue a very simple downtrend. As you can see, it's very, very likely right now, when the price breaks below the swing low, we are entering a bearish structure, right? We were in an uptrend, as you can see, like the price is just uptrending, higher highs and higher lows. At this moment, we can easily start lower lows and lower highs, and this will be the next lower low as of this moment. That's my estimate, and then the higher or the lower high will be this area as an estimate at the moment, and then we'll just continue down before we can potentially reverse and start making a new uptrend. But basically, because now we have a bit more information here, the chart's doing its thing. Quite simply, if I just measure the overall movements we have so far, as you can see, this fib extension down here overlaps very, very well. 105.5K is a very attractive support area because this fluctuation right here, where it's very meaningful, it's not just small, multi-hour fluctuations as the price sort of creates this swing low right here. It allows us to pay attention to it. And as you can see, I just did in front of you guys, it creates a very, very strong 105.5K area as potential support. But we'll see how that evolves going forward. But it just supports the overall support I had here previously, and that's what I wanted to point out. Now, the second reason is, and this video is getting quite long, but basically, in 2024, we had a very, very similar setup, and not just price setup, but macro environment setup, right? There was a lot of fear. It's not the same fear as now, but it's all at the end of the day still influencing, not just institutions, but retail to buy and sell the same way. Very similar characteristics in fear and greed, but the price is also very, very similar, where we have deep value tested 3 times. We go up, break previous resistances. The price comes down into retracement, does not break the 0.5, but it does break the 0.35. We were creating this uptrend, and then we just had to, and it made sense. We had to create a short-term bearish trend to allow the price. It just had like a bullish fake out right here. It looked like it's going to go higher, but we had to test that 0.5 retracement. That's something I'm paying attention to right now in the current structure. So go in between 0.5, 0.35, not breaking the 0.5, goes up, finds a lower high, allowing the price to come down, break the 0.5 once again. At that point, the bulls really began to take over, and the price goes much, much higher. And again, the macroeconomic characteristics are very, very similar. Not the same reasons, but they're very similar. So it's the same thing here, where we're in deep value 3 times. I made video. If you guys go back at this time, if you look at the March, throughout March, I kept saying, even though I'm looking for lower prices down here, anything below 80K will be an amazing deal, and I wouldn't shy away from it just because there's the estimate down here. I would not shy away below 80K. The price quickly recovers from it, really, really strong. Breaks previous resistances from here, breaks previous resistances, and now we are having that price come down below the break into the 0.35 extension, or this is actually a retracement for the whole move, just like the orange one in 2024. Does not break the 0.5. Instead, we come up. We have like this bullish fake out because it looked like we were having a really strong uptrend form. But guess what? This swing high cannot break and hold above this swing high. Obviously can't break above this one. So right now, volume is changing, structures are changing, it's starting to weaken, and this can allow the price to potentially come down, create one more low, potentially hitting that 0.5 retracement, just like in 2024, before the price can go much, much higher in 2025, since we're still in the middle of we're still in the bull cycle, in my opinion. And this move down can look, it's going to have a lot of fluctuations within it. So we need to understand the strengths and weaknesses within these support and resistance levels, how the RSI, how the macro, and how volume affects it all. And this is something I'm going to be going over multiple times in future videos, tomorrow's video, and all that. I'll keep updating you guys, keep sending those reminders to you guys of what I'm thinking about, just my opinion. So you guys can kind of make sense of it yourself. But yeah, hopefully this video made sense, guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.